Alright, on questions 11 and 12, here we have absolute value questions, but they're mixed in with inequalities. So here, again, this is a distance. How far is this value from 0? Well, it's less than or equal to 8 in this case. So on a number line, if this is 0, I could go 8 this way, and that would get you at -8. I could go 8 this way, and that would get you +8. But I'm less than 8 away, which means I need to, from -8, I need to be getting closer and closer and closer to 0 from this side. Well, this number is represented somewhere here. So x minus 5 has to be somewhere between -8 and 0. Well, are these numbers bigger or smaller than -8? Well, as you go to the right, you get bigger numbers. So this is bigger or equal to -8. Okay. Now we need to set up the positive case, because again we want positive and negative values. So it's this, or x minus 5, had we gone 8 this direction, well, we want to be less than 8 steps away. Well, this is exactly 8 steps, so I'd need to go this direction. Well, are these values bigger or smaller than 8? Well, they're smaller, so this is smaller than +8. So now I've got two inequalities I just need to solve. I'm going to add 5, so x has to be greater than or equal to -3, and over here x has to be, add 5 here, less than or equal to 13. So what are your final values? We're also asked to graph. So if we look at the graph here, there's 0, here's -3, let's say this is 13 over here. We know that we have to be greater than -3, and it could be equal to -3. Actually, over here I forgot the equals, so let me put those in, because it could be equal to 8, so I left that out. So here we're going to have a dot, solid dot at 3, and we need to be getting bigger, so we're heading this direction. Over here we're at 13, and it can equal 13, so that's a solid dot, but we're supposed to be smaller, so we're here. So we're in between these two values, -3 and 13. So any number in here will satisfy that inequality. Okay. So let's look at one more. Let's look at 12. Here we have an absolute value that's greater than 5 away from 0. So if we looked at what that was initially, well, we know 5 steps away from 0 would get you to -5 and 5, but we're greater than 5 away, which means when you come over here, we want to get further and further and further away from 0, which means we're going to need to be over here. On this side, if we went 5 this way, well, we would start here, but we need to get further and further away here, which means you'd be over there. So these two shaded areas represent where we want to be. So here's our value, -2x plus 1. Well, if we compare it to -5, well, are these bigger or smaller than -5? They're smaller. So it's less than. Okay. Over here, for the positive case, we have -2x plus 1. Well, how do these compare to +5? Well, these numbers are bigger, so we've got greater there. Okay. Now, what might help as a general rule is the positive case here. When this is a +5, see how this inequality didn't change? Stays the same. When you switch it to a negative, the inequality changes. And that's true in the previous question as well. See the positive case? Inequality stayed the same direction. As soon as we switched to the negative case, it changed direction. Okay. So here, if we solve this, we've got -2x is less than, subtract 1, you get -6. And now I got to divide by a negative. And recall, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip your inequality. So this is x is greater than +3. Okay. And then over here, You got negative 2x, subtract 1 from 5. This is greater than 4. Divide by negative 2. Again, we're dividing by a negative, so inequality is going to switch directions. So in this case, x is less than negative 2. So on your number line here, we've got 0, we've got negative 2, we've got positive 3. Since neither of these are equal, we're going to have open circles at both of those. But we're supposed to be greater than 3, so here's 3. We need to get bigger. And then we're supposed to be less than negative 2, so we need to get smaller. So that's what your graph looks like.